All right, buckaroos, today we're going to talk about software. Software and computers, man, they are intertwined into our lives like nothing else, right? Now, the ones that come to mind, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that type of stuff, we're not going to be going through that today. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be doing specific standalone software that's going to be on your computer. And these absolutely will help you do the job of being a PD. Got a few programs here that I think you should know, and you may not need to know literally the program that I'm showing you. Some though are just one-offs, like they're one of a kind, and I don't know of any equivalent, so you'd have to know that particular program. But others are just concepts, like video editing is going to be one of these, and there's a ton of different video editors. Excel, spreadsheets, that type of thing is going to be another concept that's on here. Now, if you just look over here, you can see what I'm going to cover, and maybe you know a bunch of these. Like you probably know audio editing, I would think, if you're in radio now, if you're working in radio, although, maybe not. And anyway, these things, these are the times, if you know them, just skip to the next one, okay? So let's go to the computer right now, and I'll fire that baby up on the screen, and I'll start taking you through them. Our first program is called Parallels, and obviously I'm on a Macintosh right now. There is absolutely no reason for you to have this program if you're not on a Macintosh. But if you have a Mac, this thing can save you $1,500 to $2,000 because you won't have to buy a PC to run music scheduling software or rating software, which almost always only runs on a PC. I've had this program for years. By the way, I'm not getting paid for any of these programs I'm showing you. I just have them. I bought them myself, and they're pretty much bulletproof. Now, if you get this program, you want Parallels Desktop 16 for Mac. Now, maybe by the time you get it, it might have another version like Desktop 17, but you want the desktop version. You don't want to have the Pro version, which you have to pay year after year after year for, plus it costs more. Where this one, you buy it once and it's yours, boom, done. Now, let me give you an idea of what it does. So this is Parallels. It's running right now, and I have Windows 10 on my machine. So inside Parallels, you put an operating system, any kind of Windows, and then you just hit it to go. And it will start up and run just like a normal Windows. I don't have a whole lot of software on here. I only really have Music Master. It's the only thing I use this for because, it's a music scheduling software. So let me just show you here. I'll fire up Music Master and then we'll move on to the next program. This is Music Master. It's running. Let's open up a station and we'll open up a sample. Totally runs fine. As you can see, the music is all here. It's pretty fast. And all the usual stuff, clocks, library, rules, scheduling, analysis, everything is here. And I'm not going to go into this now because this is a lot of lessons for music scheduling software. We're going to do that in later lessons, but I just wanted to give you an idea that this thing runs. It runs fine, and again, I use it all the time. Hate to state the obvious, but another type of software that you're going to need to know is a music scheduling software, particularly the one that's running at your radio station, although probably wouldn't hurt to know a couple of them. They pretty much operate all the same. The only difference is usually the tabs, the pull-down tabs and where things are tend to be different. But essentially, they're pretty much identical. Some do things a little bit better in different areas than the others, but again, they're really similar. Music Master or perhaps Selector or something else, those are the big ones. And knowing a scheduling program, to me, I think is a given. It is just a must. If you want to be a good PD, you need to know how to handle your music and control it the way you want it to be. And you do that through one of the music scheduling software programs. Next up is some sort of video editing software. Lots of PC and Mac ones, including the built-in iMovie on Macs and DaVinci Resolve for all operating systems. Those two are free. iMovie comes free on a Mac. There's other ones that you pay for. One would be Adobe Premiere. That's a really good program and super powerful, as is Final Cut Pro X, which is for Macintoshes only. And, both of them you pay for. Final Cut, it costs less and it's a one-time buy. You buy it once and you own it, and upgrades just come free. Adobe Premiere, you have to pay for it every single month. You can't just buy it outright, which tends to make it way more expensive. I use Final Cut Pro X. I started out with iMovie for just a little tiny little while, and then I thought, if I'm going to spend time really trying to learn this and get good at it, why would I do the little baby program? I might as well do the full deal. And since everything I have is Macintosh stuff, I took Final Cut Pro X, and it's a great program. If you have a PC, and obviously not a Mac, I'm going to put some links below for a lot of top 10 PC programs. Some you have to buy, and some of them are free. So the question probably is, you're asking yourself, oh, why are you talking about video for a radio station programming course? Well, because video is where the world is going, and it's speeding up every single month. For your career and for things that you can do at the station as a PD, for your website, for promotions, for your jocks, video blogs, so many other things. And definitely for you specifically for securing your job with your GM. And I'll tell you how you do that. If you have the ability to edit video, that means you have the ability to make video, which means you can make sales videos. And if you can make sales videos, that means you become something that generates money. You're not just an expense to the business. I can assure you, speaking as a former GM, if it came down to layoffs or firing somebody, and there were two people, you got to make some cuts, the usual stuff that happens, and there's two PDs, and you're looking at them and you're going, man, these are both good PDs, they're both equal, but this person knows how to do video editing, and he or she has been making sales videos for me to bring money in the door. Guess which one is not going to get laid off? Another type of program you need to have in your personal arsenal is an audio editor. There's a lot of free ones. There's ones that cost money. If you're in radio now, you likely have one or two at your radio station. Probably Adobe Audition would be the one that you have, although you might have one of these that I'm about to mention. You need to learn how to edit on them. One great one that's free is Audacity for Mac and for a PC and for Linux. Totally free. You can edit on it. You can sweeten audio with EQ, limiting, filtering, noise reduction, compression, so much more, all built in for free. I use it all the time for the audio for these videos. Another good one is Fission, but Fission only edits. It has no audio processing at all, although you can make some ringtones with it really easy. They're like, 2 or 3 minutes. Another type of program that is incredibly important when you become a PD, and certainly if you go on from that, if you become a manager, absolutely, is knowing how to run a spreadsheet. Excel is an incredibly powerful program, as is Numbers. This is Numbers, and it's pretty much identical to Excel. These are the typical cells, and you can just keep making them bigger and bigger and bigger so that ultimately it looks just like this, which is Excel. What Excel is really handy for is at some point if you're a PD, you're going to have to do a budget. Absolutely. And if you tried to do that by hand, paper and pencil, you'd go insane pretty quickly. Where on a spreadsheet, it's nothing. Which brings us to the last program, Audio Hijack Pro. I've been using this in Fission since around 2003. Audio Hijack, at its most basic, all it does is it records audio from your computer. I'm going to spend the most time on this program of all of these showing you because it's the most programming friendly one. I think that's directly goes to the heart of programming a radio station, but all the other ones absolutely help you in your job. Audio Hijack, and this is the main homepage. This is the company Rogue Amiga. They're in London. Again, they've been up and running for ages and ages. So let me just show you roughly how it operates. So when you start up, this is the homepage, okay? And from the software itself. But here, let me get rid of this in the background. All right, there we go. So this is this is a starting point. And you can do a lot of these things that you see here. You can actually record Skype calls. You can do a podcast. You can sweeten audio, which I'll show you in a second. Use the system audio, do radio. But this is what I use the most. It is application audio. The great thing about this is when you use application audio, which is basically any browser or anything that's on your computer. It could be Spotify, it could be Google Chrome or Safari or any other one of your softwares. It could be Firefox. When you're recording from it, it makes one stream and no other audio on your computer is going to interfere with that recording. So you could have two things playing at once on your speaker and it would be confusing, but only one is being recorded, the one you want. The other one is not being recorded and it will not bleed over. So it comes in handy to have many browsers on your computer if you really wanted to tape a lot of radio stations all at once. I happen to have 3. I mean, you can go out to 5 that I'm aware of. Like I'll give you for instance. So when you start out with the application audio, you select an application that you have. Now if I pick Safari, anything coming from this point through Safari audio-wise, it's going to record. All I have to do is, hit this red button and boom, I'm good to go. But before that, you want to change a few things. And one would be, what kind of quality do you want? You'd choose the quality, the usual. If I was an Aircheck, I'd get the, low quality MP3. The other thing would be the file limits. File limits are neat because you can set, how do you want each file to be? I mean, I usually set it for 1 hour. So you set this to 1, and every hour it'll start a new file. And this is for how long do you want it to record. So if I wanted 3 hours, I'd simply put a 3 here. And at the end of the 3 hours, it would just turn off. It would stop recording. One of the other things that this program does, I don't use it personally because I never had the need, but it does it. Just like a PVR or a VCR, you can set it to a particular radio station. So let's just say you want to tape Kiss in LA, and you want to do it, I don't know, maybe between 3 and 6 Pacific time. But you don't know where you're going to be. You just set it, and it'll turn on your computer, go to the radio station, start up recording, and then turn itself off. It's awesome. I mean, it really is. It's pretty phenomenal. You got, all the sweetening type stuff. There's a lot of effects and things. You probably, in this instance, would want to put a meter in here. So maybe you want a VU meter. And when you turn it on, everything starts to work. Let's do this for real so I can show you exactly how easy this is. So let's go to Capital in London. Let's go to the Listen tab. There it is. This is the guy that's on the air right now. And if I bring it up to play.
Who's in? Everyone's in.
Okay, now you're hearing that obviously through the microphone that I'm talking through at the moment. So let's just bring up now. We'll bring up this, and I'm going to turn it on.
Some headaches are unavoidable. Luckily, Anadin Extra gets to work on headaches in just 5 minutes. So for effective pain relief from headaches...
Capital Travel Update with Global Player. Radio, playlists and podcasts, all for free. Download now.
If you need to make an essential journey, Great Northern and Thameslink have got 20...
Okay, there you go. And I'll cut that down a little bit. Typically recording an Aircheck, but it's just so much simpler. It's fantastic. But if you're in radio, to be able to tape other radio stations, God, that's old words, isn't it? Tape. I mean, nobody tapes anymore. I mean, tape is long gone. If you can record radio stations from around the world, 3, 4, 5 at a clip, as many browsers as you have, in super high quality, and then be able to cut them up into typical radio type air checks, that is so valuable because what's going to be on that, just looking at a typical hour of any radio station, you're going to hear ideas, you're going to hear liners, promos, different types of promos, not only what's being said and what the contests are or what the promotion is or how they're selling the radio station's attributes, not only that, but also the way they're actually doing literally the production of the promos or their IDs. And to try to explain that to your production person is going to be incredibly hard, really hard, because you're going to be saying one thing and the person you're describing it to is going to be hearing something entirely different in their head. Words are the worst to try to explain audio. It's really hard for people to pick that up, but it's super easy for people to copy. You just sit and say, hey, come listen to this. Let me play a couple promos. And you play them and the person's going to listen and you go, hey, you think you can do this? Yeah, no problem. And they'll just go knock it off for you. And that'll be it. You could maybe explain for an hour and go through 10 different versions and they'll all be not even close, where just to copy something and get in the ballpark, boom, they're there. They're probably on the first take because they'll know exactly what you're looking for. And there's some of the other ways, you can tape particular jocks if you're trying to get a particular style across to the jocks on your radio station. And you can play bits from another one, from another market and go, see this? Oh yeah, this was awful. Don't do this. Now this one? Yeah, that's what we want here. We want this type of style. This is fantastic. Or look how clever this person was with just a couple words. He was only using 2 or 3 words that aren't normally used. Like here's one. Here's a really example. And, I was going through and I went into the parking lot and there was a ton of cars there. Okay, what does that mean? Ton of cars. Totally ridiculous wording. It really is. But everybody knows when you say there's a ton of anything, even though it's not weight, there's a ton of light here. Well, okay, what that means is there's a lot of light, obviously, but the words don't match up, but people immediately know what they mean. Using clever words like that as an example, if you're a jock, if you can do that and just sort of pepper your show with stuff like that, every once in a while, or if you can do it all the time, that's fantastic. Probably you won't be able to, but just to do that, it adds intellect and cleverness to your show. And somebody might want to tape a jock in another market who's doing that and then play it for your jocks. And you go, hey, this is what I'm trying to describe to you. And they'll probably do the same thing like the production person. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me work on that. I can probably do that. Let me think about it. It's so handy. It really is so handy to be able to tape air checks of another radio station at, any time you want. So hopefully this lesson helped, and hopefully you'll get some of this software, or at the very least know how to run equivalent software, because it'll really help you out doing the PD's job. Until the next lesson, enjoy. See ya.